So now what we have today is quadratic equations. Because in maths we have different type of equations. We have Lagrange equations, we have simultaneous equations, we have linear equations, Gauss-Jordan, there are many like that. So the main here we are going to talk about today is a quadratic. It's also one of the equations that we have in mathematics. So when we're talking about quadratic equation, is an equation with degree 2. That is, the highest exponential of that function is 2. That is when it has the power of 2 like this. So we can call it a quadratic equation. For example, let's say we have y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. So we can clearly see if we look at these functions, the exponential of this is 2. So when we have quadratic, when it has exponential of 2, we call it a quadratic equation. So let's just firstly write out the simple definition of that. Quadratic equation is an equation of degree 2. Degree 2. So when it has highest degree of 2, we call it a quadratic equation. So now we have different method of approaching this quadratic equation because we have to find either to find its given root. The given root means the one we got as an answer. We can convert it back to the problem. We have given root, we have factorization method, we have completing the square method, we have using quadratic formula. So those are the ones we are going to talk about today. Now, method of solving quadratic equation. Method of solving quadratic equation. So the first one we talk about, let's first talk about given root. When we are given root, so how can we convert this back to the problem? So inshallah, we'll be talking about the two ways, as in the two methods on how we can make use of this. For example, they said find the quadratic equation. Find the quadratic equation whose roots are the first one. Let's say we have -2 and -3. Let's say we have -2 and +3. So we have +2 and +5. It can have fractions -1/2 and -3/2. So we have 2 -2 and -4/5. So here we take these examples and now we can find a quadratic equation when we are given root. So the first one we have, they say we find the quadratic equations whose are given as a -2 and -3. The other one is a -2 and +3, +2 and +5, -1/2 and -3/2, -2 and -4/5. So you look at it, you can see that in some problems here, this one doesn't have any fractions, and here we have fractions. So I'll be taking them one after the other. Now, the first one, they said that so we have -2 and -3. So now, how can we make use of this? You can use any alphabet of your choice. If you like, you can use X, you can use Y, you can use P, or you can use Q. So here, in mathematics, mostly we normally use X and Y. So let's make use of X. Let's say, let X equal to -2, and let X equal to -3. So now, you see the first one I have, X is equal to -2, and X is equal to -3. So if you collect the like terms, this is minus, this is minus. When the minus come to this side, of course, it's going to become what? It's going to become plus. That means that we have X plus 2 is equal to 0. Then the second one, if I collect the like term as well, that means this one to become X plus 3 is equal to 0. So this is the two I want to expand now. We want to expand the first one, and I want to expand both the first one and the second one. So that means the first one we have now is X plus 2, and the second one we have is x plus 3, everything is equal to 0. So now I know maybe some of you have a problem now. We can expand the terms. Expansion of that means the first one we have here, we multiply these two. The second one we have here too, we also multiply the two, right? How? That is, I can say this is the same thing as you can see the first one we have here is x. That is a x bracket of what we have here, which is a x plus 3 plus the second one we have here is 2. That is 2 bracket of x plus 3. Everything is equal to 0. So by expansions, let's expand this one in a simple way that you can be able to, like expansion in mathematics, just like we are taking terms from each point to the other point. So like, for example, here, that's x times x. And we have x squared, x multiplied by 3. We are going to have 3x. 2 multiplied by x, we are going to have 2x. 2 multiplied by 3, we are going to have 6. Everything is equal to 0. You can see that. So now we have like terms that we can match together, that we can add them together. So here we can have this one to be x squared, 3x plus 2x. Of course, we can have this one to be 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. So we can see that it's very simple and straightforward. So that means if you expand this, we are going to get x squared plus 5x plus 6, everything is equal to 0. Are we following? Now, let's look at another one. Let's look at another examples. Okay, so let's have our time for this. So we are done with this one. Let's look at the second one that we have. They said we have minus 2 and plus 3. So clearly here you can see in the first one that we did, one is positive and one is negative. But for the first one is negative, the second one is also negative. But here, one is negative and one is positive. Now, if you are going to follow the same process, the same method, you can use any alphabet of your choice. You can use X, you can use Y, you can use Z. Now, if I want to do the same thing, I can say let X equal to minus 2 and let X equal to plus 3. Now, just like what we did the other time, minus 2. When the minus come to this side, it's going to become what? Yeah, plus. That means that we have X plus 2 is equal to 0. And the second one, we are going to have X, because this one is positive. So when the positive come to this side, it's going to become minus. That's our X minus 3 is equal to 0. So let's take the 2 now. The first one we have here is X plus 2. And the second one we have here is x minus 3. Everything is equal to 0. So now we follow the same process now. That is, we are going to make expansion of this. How can we do that? Just like what I explained earlier, you take x to multiply the 2 times that we have here. As well, you take the 2 also to multiply the 2 times that we have here. That is just like we are expanding the terms, the 2 terms together. That is, we are going to have this one to be x bracket over x minus 3, the first one, then plus 2 bracket over x minus 3 is equal to 0. So the next time now is just to expand the 2 terms. Now, x times x, of course, we are going to have x squared. X multiplied by minus 3, we are going to have minus 3x. 2 times x, we are going to have 2x. Now, don't be perplexed about these terms, Some people used to have a problem concerning the sign in mathematics. That is, how can we make comparison of the 2 signs if I have minus times minus, or if you have plus times plus, or if you have plus times minus and minus times plus. Those are the terms that we have. So now, please, you have to be taking note of this because it's very, very important. Now, minus times minus, of course, we are going to have what? We are going to have plus. So plus times plus. Are we going to have minus? No. So plus times plus is still remain as a plus. So plus times minus, we are going to have minus, and minus times plus as well, we are still going to have minus. So those are the terms that we are going to talk about here. So now if you look at this last term here, what I have here is plus, and what I have here is minus. So plus times minus, because brackets imply means multiplication, isn't it? So now plus times minus, of course, we are going to have minus 2 multiplied by 3, we are going to have 6 is equal to what? Is equal to 0. So now here we are going to have x squared minus 3x plus 2x, we are going to have what? We are going to have minus 1x. And in mathematics, if you have minus 1x, it's still the same thing as minus x. So we have minus x minus 6, everything is equal to 0. You can see that it's simple and straightforward. Now, let's look at the third. If you look at the third one that we have here, you can see one is positive and one is negative. The two are positive. So just like the way we approach the first one and the second one, we are still going to solve the third one to the same method, the same way. Now, let's look at that. So in the third one, all we have in the third one, they said that we have plus 2 and plus 5. So let's use another alphabet here. Let's say let's y equal to plus 2 and let y is equal to plus 5. So the same method. What we have here is plus. When the plus comes here, of course, it's going to become minus. That means that we have y minus 2 equal to 0, because we have already explained this one before. Then as well, the second one too, we have y minus 5 is equal to 0. So we take the two terms. We have y minus 2, the first one, and y minus 5, everything is equal to 0. So you can see either use x, either use y, either use z, either use anything. It's still going to be the same approach. Now, by expansions, taking the first term to multiply the two terms, the second time to multiply the two terms, that means that we have y bracket of the term that we have here is what? Y minus 5. That is a y minus 5. Then minus 2 bracket of y minus 5. Everything is equal to 0. So let's expand. Y times y, we are going to have y squared. Y times minus 5. That's going to be minus 5y. Don't be confused that it's going to be y5. It's not y5 because the mathematics number comes before the alphabet. So if I have y times 5, of course, it's going to be 5y to make it more interesting. So now, y times y, we have y squared. Y times minus 5, we have minus 5y. Minus 2 times y, we are going to have minus 2y. Minus times minus, I told you here, when we have minus times minus, of course, it's going to become plus. So minus times minus is plus, then 2 times 5, we are going to have 10. Everything is equal to 0. So let's match the two together. So don't be confused yourself here. Why is it not minus 5y minus, why is it not become positive? Why? Because you can see here, there's no bracket first, and there's no sign of multiplications. So this is just like it's two addition of two numbers, just like we are adding two numbers together, like minus 5y minus 2y. Of course, we are going to have to be minus 7y plus 10 is equal to 0. So you can see that we use this. Now, there's another method that we can use to solve these quadratic equations given root, and if you find it more interesting, that one does not even require any problem, and I will still give you that one. Now, let's take there's one that we normally use that we can make use of: x squared minus alpha plus beta of x plus alpha beta is equal to 0. Don't be confused about this, just like a packaging. So how this alpha is going to be the first root, this second one is going to be the second root. For example, let's take this one for example. You find it more interesting because you are still going to get the same result. We are trying to make everything easier here. So let's take these two numbers. I have plus 2 and plus 5, right? So let's just say let alpha to be the first root, let alpha to be plus 2, and let beta to be plus 5. So that means I have my alpha to be plus 2 now, I have my beta to be plus 5. You just substitute the two into your given equations. You can make use of this equation to solve the previous example that I've solved so far. So let's substitute here. That means that we have x squared minus, my alpha is 2. Can you see? We have 2 plus beta we have is 5. It is 5 of x plus my alpha again is 2, because what we have here is alpha beta, is multiplication. What join them together is multiplication. That is alpha multiplied by beta. So now times what we have here is 5. Everything is equal to 0. So now we are going to have x squared minus 2 plus 5 is going to be 7. That's 7x plus 2 times 5, and we have 10 is equal to 0. You can see, if you compare the two, you see that the two terms are the same. What we have here is xy squared minus 7y plus 10. Recall, I told you that we can make use of any alphabet. It doesn't matter. What matters is the result. So now what we have here is y squared minus 7y plus 10 is equal to 0. And if you look at this, what we have here is x squared minus 7x plus 10 is equal to 0. So if I ask which one is more better, you can see either use the first one or use the second one. The both are still the same. So let's approach this problem. Now, in this problem, what we have here is our fractions, because you can see the first one is fraction, that is minus 1 over 2. It doesn't matter. It can be mixed fraction. You know, we have three types of fractions. We have proper fractions, we have improper fractions, we have mixed fraction as well. So if you are dealing with roots, they can give you either improper fractions or proper or mixed one. So either any of these three, you will approach it the same way. Now here we have minus 1 over 2 and minus 3 over 2. So if I can apply the first method and I can apply the second method, maybe I should be applying the 2 to solve this. But to solve the next example, I just use any of the two, then you can compare the two together. Now we have minus 1 over 2 and minus 3 over 2. Now, the same way, let x equal to minus 1 over 2 and let x is equal to minus 3 over 2. The same method. So this is minus. When the minus comes to this side, of course, it's going to become what? It's going to become positive. That means here I can have this one to be x plus 1 over 2 is equal to 0, and x plus 3 over 2 is equal to 0, because this is minus. So when the minus comes here, it's going to become positive. So I'll take the two terms and expand them. So I have x plus 1 over 2, and we have x plus 3 over 2 is equal to 0. Just like what we have done so far, that is, the first one here, we multiply these two. The second one too, we also multiplied it. That is, we are going to have x bracket over x plus 3 over 2 plus 1 over 2 bracket over x plus 3 over 2. Everything is equal to 0. We can see that we are just making use of the 2. Now, x times x, that's going to give us x squared. X multiplied by 3 over 2. Then we are going to have 3 over 2x plus 1 over 2 times x. That's going to give us 1 over 2x. Now, 1 over 2 multiplied by 3 over 2. Don't be confused here. It's just a simple tactics. If you have two fractions together, that is, numerator will multiply numerator. At the same time, denominator will also multiply denominator. That is, for example, if I have like a over b times c over d, how will I go about this one? That is, a will multiply c, because both a and c are numerator. B and d are also at where? Denominator. That means a times c here, we are going to have ac. B times d, we are going to have bd. So I want to apply the same tactics, but now I can expand this one. That is, I have 1 over 2 and I have 3 over 2. How? We are going to have 1 over 2 multiplied by 3 over 2. That is, numerator for numerator. At the same time, denominator for denominator. So 1 multiplied by 3 here, of course, we are going to have 3. And 2 times 2, we are going to have 4. So now, let's go back here now. That is 1 times 3, and we have 3. Then 2 times 2, we are going to have 4. Everything is equal to 0. You can see that it's simple and straightforward. So now, the next thing is that if you come across this type of fraction, this type of problem now, you can see here, it's a fractions. This one too is also a fractions as well. This one is a fraction. So to make it easier, I can say the xm of this one, let's say x squared over 1, because it's still the same thing. Now, the next thing is for me to find the LCM of 1, 2, 2, and 4. What's going to be the LCM? Yes, the LCM is going to be 4, because 2 can go in 4 without remainder, as well 1 can also go in 4 without remainder. So now the LCM is going to be 4. Why are we using the LCM here? Because we have the fractions and we are trying to clear the fractions so that we can make the equation more better. Now, how many 1 can we get in 4? Yes, we are going to have 4. 4 times x squared, that's going to be 4x squared plus, how many 2 can we get in 4? That's going to be 2. 2 times 3x, we are going to have 6x. How many 2 can we get in 4? We are going to have 2. 2 times 1x, we are going to have 2x plus, how many 4 can we get in 4? Yeah, that's going to be 1. 1 times 3, we are going to have 3. Everything is equal to 0. You can see if 4 multiplies 0, we are going to have 0. That means we have already cleared the fraction. So what we have left now is 4x squared, 6x plus 2x. That's going to be 8x plus 3. Everything is equal to 0. Now, you can see, if I let me write it here so that it's more better. 4x squared, that's what we have for the first term. We have 4x squared, look at it, 6x plus 2x, that's going to be 8x, then plus 3 is equal to 0. So we can see 4, if 4 multiplies 0, of course we are going to have 0. So that means our answer is result is going to be 4x squared plus 8x plus 3 is equal to 0. I can still use the other method I use using alpha and beta, and we are still going to get the same result. Can we make use of that? Okay, yeah, let's try that one too. If you are going to get the same result. So let's write this one here. We have 4x squared plus 8x plus 3 equal to 0. So let's try it using the same problem. We have minus 1 over 2 and minus 3 over 2. So let's try it here if you are going to have the same result. So now I have minus 1 over 2 and minus 3 over 2. So using that method, which is x squared minus alpha plus beta of x plus alpha beta is equal to 0. I can say let alpha to be minus 1 over 2 and let beta to be minus 3 over 2. So now substitute the value of alpha and beta into these equations. So that means I can have this one to be x squared minus, now my alpha is minus 1 over 2. I can have this one to be minus 1 over 2 plus, because the sign that we have is positive, right? So now the beta that we have is minus 3 over 2. So we can have this one to be minus 3 over 2 of x plus, I told you, the sign that join both alpha and beta together is a multiplication. So here, what I have here is alpha beta. That means I can have this one to be minus 1 over 2 multiplied by minus 3 over 2. Everything is equal to 0. So this is another problem. When we are talking in mathematics, if two signs follow each other, even if we maybe follow one another, maybe we have more than two signs, we will consider the law that guide them. If minus and minus follow each other, the result is going to be positive. If positive and positive follow each other, the result is still going to be positive. If positive and negative follow each other, it's going to be minus, or if minus and plus follow each other, it's going to be minus. So just like the law that we discussed here, that when we have minus times minus, that's going to be plus, or we have plus times plus, that's going to be plus, or plus times minus, we can even make use of this approach as well. So now we have the same scenario here now. If you look at this, I have positive here and I have negative here. You can just make use of that. That means this one we can have it as x squared minus 1 over 2 plus and minus. Now it's going to become what? Yeah, it's going to become minus 3 over 2 of x plus, now here too you can see we have multiplication sign between them, just like we want to multiply them. That is numerator by numerator, at the same time denominator by denominator. So here minus times minus, that's plus, right? So 1 multiplied by 3, I can have 3. 2 times 2, we can have this one to be 4. Everything is equal to 0. So now here we can have x squared minus, so since we have a fraction in this bracket, we want to take the XCM, just like the way we do it here. The XCM of 2 and 2, that's going to be 2. How many 2 can we get in 2? That's going to be 1. 1 times minus 1, and we have minus 1. How many 2 can we get in 2? That's going to be 1. 1 times 3, we are going to have 3 of x, then plus 3 over 4 is equal to 0. So here I can have this one to be x squared minus 1 minus 3. It's like you are, as I told you earlier, it's like you are combining the two together. Minus 1 minus 3, that's going to be minus 4 over 2 of x plus 3 over 4 is equal to 0. So now, if I like, I can take the XCM here. If I like, I can take the XCM to make it more better. So here we can have this one to be, by taking the XCM of this is going to be 4. How many 1 can we get in 4? We are going to have what? We are going to have 4 times x squared. That's going to be 4x squared minus 2 in 4. Of course, you are going to have 2. 2 times 4, that's going to give us 8x. Then 4 in 4, we are going to have what? We are going to have 1. 1 times 3, we are going to have 3. Everything here is equal to 0. So now, as I told you earlier, if 4, 0 can take care of 4, because by cross multiply 4 times 0, of course, you are going to have 0. So down here, you can have the result to be 4x squared minus 8x plus 3 is equal to 0. If you compare the two results, you can see that the two of them have the same what? The same result.